Chapter 127, Sunshine City. It was the day before Christmas Eve. Gojo and Geto were spending some time with Shoko at Sunshine City, Ikebukuro. Christmas tradition consisted of going out to dinner, then exchanging sweets for dessert. This tradition started the very first Christmas they were grouped together, a perfect solution for college students who wanted to celebrate but not break the bank. They headed to the mall's basement level where most of the sweet stalls were. They split up to buy something for each other and made plans to meet again at a restaurant upstairs. Geto sauntered past the stores and pop-up vendors. He was looking for a very specific item that was Gojo's favorite, but not always available. He spotted a place that had something Shoko would like and shopped for her first. He stood at the entrance of the shop and was overwhelmed by the rows of assorted wagashi, bite-sized sweet confections in pretty colors, decorated with various flowers and seasonal elements. He gravitated towards the lavender boxes near the cash register and picked up a large square box. Shoko would have to lug it around the rest of the night, but she'd forgive him when she had enough candy to last the winter. After paying for Shoko's gift, Geto finally spotted the confectionery that carried kikufuku. He ordered the soft mochi in 3 flavors, zunda, matcha cream, and red bean, Gojo's favorite treat. The cashier packed the mochi in a pretty gold-embossed box and tucked it into a matching gift bag. Geto checked the timestamp on the receipt. He still had 10 minutes until he had to meet the other 2 at the restaurant. He stood off to the side with his packages, out of the way of the hordes of Christmas shoppers, and took a breather. He'd had a lot on his mind, and the chaos of the crowds was already taking a toll on his energy. Between having to return to active duty after Christmas and his anxieties about his future, he had a sudden urge to reconnect with his parents. A few days before, he used Gojo's phone to make a call to his childhood home. He teared up hearing his mom's voice, and she sounded surprised but glad to hear from him. It was always like this. Over the phone, she was warm and they talked easily, but in person, they were awkward and clumsy with each other, reluctant to hug. When they finally did, Geto always wanted her to hold him just a little bit longer, but she always let go too soon. His mom passed the phone to his dad. He spoke to Geto briefly and confirmed that they would appreciate a visit on Christmas. His dad paused a long moment after Geto told him Gojo would be making the trip with him. After telling Geto that it would be fine, he'd handed the phone back to his mom to finalize their plans. Geto wasn't sure if his dad understood the significance of him bringing Gojo home for the holiday. He didn't quite know how he was going to tell his parents who Gojo really was to him. Geto was never sure where he stood with his dad. They'd never really talked. His dad had never shown any strong emotions towards him. Geto had never been scolded, disciplined, or grounded. He'd also never been doted on, smothered with kisses, or held too much. And somehow, he'd still been a perfectly behaved child. That is, until he became a jujutsu sorcerer. It was the first thing that made him resent his jujutsu powers, the way his parents grew distant after his abilities manifested themselves at a young age. Geto sighed, wanting the memory to disappear. He rejoined the stream of faceless people roaming through the mall to meet Shoko and Gojo for dinner. Per usual, Shoko always planned ahead and had gotten a reservation, which Geto appreciated. There was a long queue waiting to get in, and they watched the trio enviously as they were led directly to their table. The noise inside was deafening. It had more of an izakaya vibe than the hushed atmosphere of a fancy restaurant. They had to practically yell at each other to carry on any kind of conversation, but they had a good time trying. Geto didn't realize until then how much he'd missed being around Shoko like this, when she didn't have her blunt, no-nonsense, on-duty personality. She was sarcastic and funny, and as outgoing as Gojo. With dinner out of the way, it was gift-giving time. Shoko presented Gojo with a pack of glossy mini fruit tarts. Geto received an oblong box packed with mini dorayaki filled with a rich red bean paste. Gojo gave Shoko a box of chocolates. Shoko knew the mall well and recognized the name of the shop stamped on the box. She also knew the high price Gojo paid for them. He'd totally missed the point of their gift exchange. It wasn't the first time. "These are beautiful, thank you," Shoko said when she lifted the lid off the box and took one of the chocolates out for dessert. She reached over and gently pinched Gojo's cheek. He grinned widely. Shoko's face brightened when she received her gift of wagashi from Geto. "Whoa, these are almost too pretty to eat," she told him, placing her hand over his and giving it a warm squeeze. "Thank you." As soon as Geto set Gojo's gift down, Gojo tore into the bag and popped the box open. He pulled out one of the mochi pieces, holding it up in the air like he'd won a prize. He stuffed it into his mouth and chewed while reaching over to get Geto's gift. Gojo presented Geto with a pink drawstring bag. Geto looked inside and pulled out the candy. There were half a dozen pieces. Each piece of translucent hard candy was uniquely decorated with vibrant colors and designs. These were not machine-made sweets, but hand-painted by a local artisan. Geto's face turned bright pink when he realized what kind of candy they were. Lollipops. He snorted and turned his face away from the two of them. "Satoru." "What?" Shoko asked, looking from Geto's embarrassed face to Gojo's beaming smile. "What? I don't get it," she whined, wanting to be in on what obviously was an inside joke. Geto shook his head. "Trust me, Shoko, you don't want to know." Shoko pouted, but neither of them disclosed why Geto was blushing. Gojo and Geto burst out laughing. They separated after dinner. Shoko had last-minute gift shopping, and Gojo wanted to get something for Geto's dad. They hugged Shoko and wished her a happy Christmas. Gojo had already gotten Geto's mom a ridiculously lavish gift. 2 bolts of the finest silk, 1 bolt of vibrant fuchsia, 1 bolt of royal blue. Geto's mom was a tailor who specialized in wedding attire and costumes custom ordered by performing theaters all over the country. The day they picked up the fabric from a warehouse, Geto had asked, "Satoru, do I even want to know how much this cost?" Gojo shrugged. "Doesn't matter, it's from the both of us. She'll like them, won't she?" Geto ran his fingers over the delicate silk. "Of course she will," Geto assured him. Now they fought the crowds at the mall to find a Christmas gift for Geto's dad, a salaryman who'd been with the same company since Geto was born. Geto's parents were middle class and lived in the suburbs of Chiba City, Tokyo. Their small, quiet family was in stark contrast to Gojo's clan, one of the most powerful ones in the Jujutsu world. The Gojo clan owned a sprawling estate behind tall walls and barriers in Minato City, Tokyo, hidden in plain sight alongside the embassies and luxury homes in the area. Gojo didn't speak of his family often, but Geto listened with fascination whenever he did. The Gojo clan had generational wealth and a powerful bloodline. They prided themselves on honoring long-standing family traditions. They also managed to adapt more progressive ideas to keep themselves relevant in high society. They were heavily involved in Jujutsu politics. Gojo was a designated family representative at Tokyo Metropolitan Cursed Technical College, even though he was only a student. His unique position was why he received so little pushback from the higher-ups. Their strict stand on matters concerning Geto was the hardest they'd fought Gojo on anything. Gojo had to make sure he didn't cross the line exerting the clan's power. In turn, Jujutsu administration made sure they didn't do anything that would cause Gojo to have to call on the mother of the Gojo clan to intervene. The higher-ups held a lot of disdain for the Gojo clan's far-reaching power, but they still showed great respect and fear towards them, a family that could wipe out the existence of Jujutsu society with just a few flicks of Gojo's hand. Geto's tolerance at the mall began to wear down with each shop Gojo dragged him into. Gojo had his heart set on getting Geto's dad a new briefcase. They'd seen dozens of them at this point, but Gojo had picked up each item and set them back down with a frown after close inspection. Right when Geto was ready to snap, Gojo found a classic dark brown briefcase that matched the vision he'd had in his head. Geto watched Gojo smile to himself as he noted the fine hand-stitched leather and shiny, durable clasps. Gojo didn't bat an eye when the cashier told him the purchase total. Geto visibly winced. Gift-giving was one of Gojo's ways of showing affection. He splurged on people, not to flaunt his wealth, but to show that he understood their needs. "Thank you," Geto told him as they walked to the parking garage. Gojo beamed. "Your dad will like it, right?" "It'll probably be the nicest gift anyone's ever gotten him," Geto admitted. They loaded their bags into the trunk of the black Toyota Century Gojo had rented for the week. Gojo held the passenger door open for him and gave Geto a kiss before he sat down. The intermittent snow and holiday traffic made their drive back to school slow and tedious. Gojo was stuck driving at a snail's pace when they merged onto the freeway. The snow was light, and the flakes dissolved the moment they touched the windshield. The wipers made a soft, hypnotic noise as the flakes smeared underneath them. Geto watched Gojo's profile lit up by the streetlights. He loved the strong outline of his jaw and the slope of his nose. He caught himself smiling. Gojo glanced at him and smiled back, turning his attention back to his driving. "You excited about seeing your parents?" Gojo asked. "Yeah, it's been a long time." Geto tried to sound hopeful, but his face fell. "What's wrong?" Gojo heard the apprehension in Geto's voice. "I don't know how to tell my parents about us. How to tell them that we're..." Geto trailed off. "We don't have to take care of everything in one trip. Tell them when you feel ready." Gojo reached over and squeezed Geto's knee. "Maybe they'll understand when they see how I can't keep my hands off you." "Oh, you'd better behave yourself while we're there," Geto warned him, but he was smiling again. "Suguru, give me some credit. I want them to like me. I want your parents to trust me with you, not see me as a predator who's only after your body." Gojo walked his fingers up Geto's thigh. Geto laughed and smacked his hand away lightly. "Concentrate on your driving." "I'd rather concentrate on you," Gojo teased. Geto reached for the drawstring bag Gojo had given him and unwrapped one of the lollipops. He popped it into his mouth and looked out the window at the city lights. He turned back to Gojo when the quiet in the car grew too loud. "What is it?" Geto asked when he noticed the tension in Gojo's shoulders and the grip on the steering wheel. "Suguru, you honestly don't know how you affect me. Do you have to eat that right now?" Gojo said as Geto twisted the lollipop around in his mouth. Geto held it up. "Are you saying that I can't ever eat one of these in front of you again?" "No, 'cause I suffer when anything in your mouth isn't me," Gojo replied. He snickered when Geto punched him in the arm. The mood in the car grew tense when Geto ignored Gojo's warning. Geto studied Gojo curiously and reached over to touch Gojo's crotch. "God, what are you doing?" Gojo groaned. Geto rested his hand on Gojo's erection. "I thought you were playing around, but you feel like you're about to burst." "I told you, I'm suffering over here. I'm aching to get you into bed," Gojo told him. As if the universe understood his urgency, there was a break in traffic and he picked up speed. Geto retrieved the lollipop wrapper from the middle console and rewrapped the candy. "I can ease your suffering right now, but I don't want you to crash." Geto put his hand back on Gojo's thigh. Gojo was quiet for a moment, wondering if Geto's offer was sincere. They were probably about 10 minutes away from the school, but he wasn't going to wait. "If I promise to get us to the dorms in one piece, will you touch me?" Geto answered him with his hands, reaching over to unbuckle Gojo's belt, unzip his pants, and reach into his boxers. Gojo kept his eyes straight ahead and held the steering wheel steady, even while Geto fondled him. "Oh God, don't stop, Suguru. I'm almost there," Gojo murmured as he exited the freeway. "I think I'll wait to let you come until we get back on campus. I know how much your body trembles. We'll definitely crash if I let it happen too soon." Geto let up on his touch just enough to make Gojo whimper. Gojo parked outside one of the lesser-used entrances of the campus. The windows immediately fogged up after Gojo shut off the car. Geto had already unbuckled his seatbelt. "Have you ever had a blowjob in a car before?" he asked. "Suguru, you're my first everything. You know that." Geto bent over Gojo's lap and sucked him off. Gojo reclined his seat and grasped Geto's shoulder as he neared the edge again. "Oh, fuck," Gojo whispered as he throbbed inside Geto's mouth. Geto swallowed and licked Gojo clean. He made Gojo look as presentable as he could, zipping his pants back up for him and fastening his belt. He left Gojo in the car while he retrieved the bags from the trunk. Gojo finally exited the car, grinning to himself, the front of his button-down shirt wrinkled and untucked. They entered the gates after the barriers recognized their cursed signatures and walked from the far side of campus to their dorm. Geto switched the lights on in their room and set their things on the floor. He went straight to the bathroom and started to brush his teeth. He looked in the mirror at Gojo's reflection when he appeared behind him. Geto spat into the sink and wiped his mouth with a towel. "You didn't think we were done, did you?" Gojo cooed in his ear. "I hoped we weren't," Geto answered. He let Gojo take his hand and lead him to the bed. Gojo made love to Geto, digging his knees into the mattress to thrust himself deep inside. He lashed his teeth onto the side of Geto's neck. Geto felt like he was being devoured, and he wanted more. He scratched his nails down Gojo's back. Gojo thrust harder. Geto tilted his head back into the pillow. He was starting to throb. Then his face grimaced in pleasure. Gojo held him when his body jerked. Gojo trembled with him. "I love you," Gojo murmured as he finished. "I love you," Geto whispered back. Gojo wiped the tears from Geto's eyes with his thumbs. Geto wrapped his legs around Gojo to keep him anchored against him. "I'm not going anywhere," Gojo told him. He wiped another set of tears out of Geto's eyes. "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay," Geto assured him. That just felt really good. Gojo gave him a soft smile and an even softer kiss. "Your sexual prowess is impressive, even outside of the bedroom," Geto told him. "What do you mean?" Gojo asked. "You seduced me as a distraction from being anxious about visiting my parents," Geto pointed out. "Are you sure you want to be talking about them at a time like this?" "Then pull out," Geto dared him softly. "You won't let me," Gojo said. "No, not yet." "I'll only weaponize sex if it benefits you," Gojo promised him with mock seriousness. Geto chuckled. "Okay." They looked at each other for a long time. They both felt the weight of the near future start to loom over them. Geto loosened his legs from around Gojo. "I'm letting you go now." "Even if you let me go, I'm still going to be holding on to you," Gojo said, enveloping Geto in his arms. Geto nestled into the crook of Gojo's shoulder. "Then there's no point in me letting go first." "Then don't." Gojo tightened his hold around Geto. Geto's eyes filled with tears again. Not with tears of pleasure, but of a different kind of happiness. Being held like this, Geto felt like he'd finally found his place in this world, right there in Gojo's arms. Now if only he could stop the world from trying to tear him away.